I'm joined now by columnist Doug Cuthand. He's in Saskatoon, joining us. Doug, you know, the issue of police brutality against people of color in Canada, particularly Indigenous people, when we're talking about Western Canada and the prairies, you know, it's not new. We had the Starlight tours in Saskatoon, you know, police driving Indigenous people outside city limits, leaving them in freezing conditions. We had the Aboriginal Justice Inquiry here in Manitoba for the handling of the Helen Betty Osborne murder, the investigation of police who killed J.J. Harper. Yet here we are, 2021, still having this same conversation, stuff that you've been writing about. We're going on 3 or 4 decades. You know, what do you? Are we getting anywhere? It feels like with 30, 40 years of everybody saying we might have some problems, and we're still saying we might have some problems.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far we're getting. I think. Yeah, you're right. Correct. There's been, I know in Saskatoon here, they had a new police chief come in and they cleaned up a lot of stuff, but it still happens that there's people roughed up on the streets and stuff like this. Racism runs very deep in the prairies here, and our people always seem to be on the receiving end of it. So I think there's a lot that has to be done. The RCMP has got to look at their own history. They're essentially set up in the West, the Indians in their place, clear the West part for settlement, and a lot of that, a lot of that still exists in the mindset and in the history and the corporate culture of the RCMP, and a lot of that is carried over into the cities as well.
Yeah. You know, and it's not just about, you know, dying at the hands of police. You know, Indigenous people say that they feel underserved by police too. If you phone when you're a victim of crime or something, you don't get the same treatment that some other people get. You know, we hear from MMIWG families that say, you know, police didn't take seriously when we called to report this person missing. Or didn't treat the murder investigation with any sense of urgency. You know, we had Chief Alan Adam on video roughed up by police over an expired license plate. You know, there's a whole lot of the complaints aren't just about you're more likely to die at the hands of police. The complaints are wide. Within the issue of, you know, systemic racism within anything, whether it's healthcare or policing, you know, it's not just one thing, there's a bunch. You know, police have been taking cultural awareness training over the last 20 years. Why isn't anything, it's not fixed yet. What's your theory?
Well, I don't think cultural awareness training, it's really taken seriously by the RCMP. A lot of these guys coming in as new recruits really aren't fixated in that direction at all. And I think one of the problems we have out here in the West, on the prairies, is that the land is being depopulated. The farmers are moving off the land and retiring or going to the cities or whatnot, and the small towns are drying up. So as a result, the RCMP is cutting back in their numbers, and it just takes a long time to get any kind of response out of them if there is an issue that has to be dealt with. On my reserve, which is Little Pine, and other reserves in my area, we're going to self-policing. We have our own security, which is basically taking care of our elders and looking after people and seeing that things are safe on the reserve. Still, they're not entitled to do the work of the criminal code that the RCMP does, but they still do make a difference, and it's quite meaningful, actually.
And how many people have they killed?
Who?
The First Nations security that you have there that are, you know, dealing with some of the calls.
Oh, no, they haven't killed anybody, of course. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The people know each other and they respect each other, and they don't look like like the RCMP arrive on a reserve. They're like an army, you know, that's taking control. Whereas our people, when they're there, they're just part of the community, and they work from the inside out.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of communities are seeing exactly that sort of thing. We just had a story by Sarah Connors, our Yukon reporter, just did a big feature up there. They've got, said we don't want federal police in here as much anymore. We want to just do it ourselves with the security force, and they've had nothing but good luck with that. Global News is reporting a poll today that shows that 84% of Canadians feel that the Chauvin verdict is going to lead to improved policing practices here in Canada. What do you make of that? 84% think this will be somehow good for police relations, police and BIPOC relations here in Canada. What do you think?
Well, it's amazing how much the Chauvin trial was watched in Canada. And I think a lot of people resonate with a lot of people. Whether it's going to make a change, I'm not so sure, because we're talking about a huge bureaucracy here. And we're not just talking about the police. We're looking at the entire justice system, right from the police up to the jail guards and everybody in between. Mm-hmm. The whole system is, is biased. The whole system is racist. It needs a complete overhaul. So the police are just part of this, and just by separating out one group, it doesn't address the entire issue. And that's what we have to be looking at. It's a whole big picture, not just one individual case like the Chauvin case, or there's lots of other examples, believe me. But rather than settle for the one example, let's go for the changing the whole system.
And do you feel that there's an appetite for change? Not just among Indigenous people, but Canadians more broadly. Do you think they're going, yeah, I think that this is the time for change to happen?
Well, there's always been an appetite for change among our own people because of the brunt
obviously.
Of it. But on the other hand, I think that there is, I don't know how much, but I think there is a growing awareness, and with awareness comes wanting change. So yeah, I think it's moving, but it's too slow. It's not very much.
Well, thank you, Doug. It's always great to chat with you, and we will have you back on sooner rather than later. I feel like it's been a long time since we've seen you on here.